Good evening, Coinmunity, and welcome back to yet another episode of our Coinmunity Wednesdays. For tonight's discussion, we're going to be diving into another partner project, Nano, and talking more about DeFi payments here in the Philippines. Don't forget that every week we choose your community questions straight from our Facebook and X Live. And if your question is chosen tonight, you will be receiving Nano tokens sent straight to your coins.ph wallets. So don't forget to drop a GM in the comment section and also send in your questions for our panel, for George from the Nano Foundation, for Kuya Da, and Arthur, who will also be joining us for tonight's panels. So I guess for tonight's discussion, let's not waste any time. We have a lot of interesting talking points for our discussion on payments and DeFi, because I think this is a hot topic for crypto moving forward into 2025, and as crypto gains more legitimacy and adoption. So I think I'd like to introduce our first guest for tonight. So Kuya Da, I'll add you up on stage. Good evening, Kuya Da. Welcome to Coinmunity Wednesdays, and thank you for joining us.
Hi guys, good evening, good evening. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, Kuya Da. Kumusta ka? How are you doing? Welcome to CW. First time niyo po ata for us on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. Then I'm so excited to share my knowledge and I'm so excited to share the reality.
Yes, all right. Great.
So yeah.
Awesome. So, Kuya, thank you so much. And hello, Toph. Nice to see you also there in the background. All right. I'd also like to introduce George from the Nano Foundation. She's the co-director. George, thank you for joining us for tonight's discussion. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. So, I guess for the first segment of our show, George will be talking about the Nano Foundation and the project, and also introducing and teaching to the audience a little bit about Nano. And afterward, we'll also be taking some questions from the crowd. And our focus for tonight will be about payments, remittances, maybe a bit of DeFi, because I think this is where the future of crypto is also headed towards. So, George, I guess I'd like to kick off the discussion by asking you the first question of the evening. So, I guess, George, let me flash the question here for the crowd. All right. So, George, maybe what inspired the creation of Nano?
Sure. So the creation of Nano was inspired by the recognition of fundamental inefficiencies in existing blockchain technologies. So looking at Bitcoin, we saw tremendous potential, but also clear limitations, such as high energy consumption, slow transaction times, and fees that made micropayments and now general real-world payments somewhat impractical. So we wanted to create a digital money that was truly accessible to everyone globally, regardless of economic status. So the vision was to build a sustainable cryptocurrency that could deliver instant transactions with zero fees, making digital currency practical for everyday use while maintaining decentralization and security.
Awesome. So I guess I'd also like to, maybe have you give out a kind of like pitch, right? So maybe how would you describe Nano in one sentence to people who've never heard about it?
I love this question because it's always quite hard to push all of Nano's amazing qualities into one sentence. But Nano is a sustainable and green digital money built for real world use. So it's offering instant fee-free transactions globally on a secure, decentralized network that anyone can use regardless of their location or economic status.
Awesome. So sustainable money, I think, is something that's really important moving forward, because that's a hot topic right now, right? Is energy consumption, even with like AI. So
Yes.
sustainable digital money, I think I heard you say. So I guess the next question I'd like to ask you too is, so what's Nano working with, merchants or wallets for wider adoption? So of course, we're partnered with you guys,
Yeah.
but maybe feel free to also share maybe a story from other countries and other parts of the world.
Absolutely. So we are always actively collaborating with various payment processors, merchants, wallet providers to expand Nano's ecosystem and real world utility. We are all actually volunteers at the Nano Foundation. So we are just one part of the wider ecosystem. So our approach focuses on grassroots community driven action. That's it. It is all about the people at the forefront making a difference. So obviously, and I think this is obviously a great topic to discuss, is obviously our partnership with you guys at coins.ph, which is a really exciting move for us. And I just wanted to kind of explain why it's so exciting and what is available now with Nano available on coins.ph. So obviously, this partnership does address quite a few of the pain points that we see in the Philippine financial ecosystem, mainly remittance efficiency. So overseas Filipino workers can now send money home instantly without the 3 to 5 day wait times and high fees of traditional services. So amazingly, a recent study found that the average Filipino spends approximately 4 hours monthly managing bill payments and often waiting in long queues. But now with this integration, we can reclaim that lost productivity while eliminating the hidden costs that disproportionately affect those with lower income households. Obviously, Nano has zero network fees and settles in under 3 seconds, which is incredibly exciting. So obviously, there are 3 million Filipino families depending on remittances globally, and cross-border transactions can now take place in under a second. So obviously, the difference between paying rent on time or facing late fees. Obviously, with you guys, we can now have bill payment convenience. So users utilizing Nano with coins.ph can pay for utilities and government services. Our main focus is obviously financial inclusion, so providing bank-like services to millions of people without traditional bank accounts. You know that globally there are 1.4 billion people without an address and therefore can't access the traditional financial systems that we see. And obviously, when we have 2.47 million Filipinos working abroad, they send home $36.14 billion annually. So we can now remove the general 5.8% average remittance costs that people pay with using Nano and coins.ph. So that's really, really exciting for us. In addition to that, we at the Nano Foundation and the larger Nano community really like to focus on those areas who need Nano the most. And as I said, those people that may not have access to traditional financial systems. So we actually have a very exciting event coming up, created by a community member in Nigeria called the Biz Merchant event, also focusing on real-world payments within Nigeria and further afield across Africa. So we are incredibly busy. We are a tiny team of volunteers and work so closely with our community in trying to build out services, which I hope to explain a little bit further as we go through.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned um, 4 hours average, I think, queue time was it, and 3 million people, right? So I think cumulatively, that's a lot of time that's saved because of
Hugely.
digital transactions. So I that puts it into perspective. 4 hours is a lot of time wasted. So I guess the next question that I'd like to have also for you, because you did mention you have your community in Nigeria. So maybe this one, so as part of that, you can also share other things, right? So are there any upcoming events, campaigns, or initiatives that you'd also like to share? And maybe you can also tell the audience here how they can get involved too, if like the Nano community, and also I guess being involved maybe even as a contributor or to join the movement, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. It is a movement. It's a movement of free and fair money across the world. So we've actually had a really exciting month where we have just released our latest version of our node called Electrum. It's version 28, so V28. And it's our first step towards what we call commercial grade. So it represents a real leap towards being commercially viable, which Nano already is, but on the larger playing field. So we have obviously just released that, which is incredibly exciting. We have been on the last 24 hours, 48 hours, conducting some live stress test networks, live tests on the network, and actually we reached a peak of 512 confirmations per second. Which is incredibly exciting, an incredible move. That's 30,000 blocks at 400 BPS, demonstrating just how the network continues to function efficiently despite a heavy load, and obviously maintaining transaction times of just a few hundred milliseconds despite significant demand peaks. So we are continuously focusing on our development, and we'll be moving through further versions of the node to create a more spam-proof and efficient digital currency, which obviously we are already, but there's always room for improvement. In addition to this, obviously, educational initiatives to help more people understand how Nano works and its benefits as digital money is obviously a key focus for us, with community engagement remaining at the heart of our approach. So that includes local meetups, as I've just said. We're actually hoping to have a big meetup in Amsterdam as well later on in the year, which is yet to be announced and yet to be properly planned. But as I said, obviously, we've got the Biz Merchant event in Nigeria. We are particularly excited about what we're seeing being developed in the ecosystem that demonstrate Nano's real-world utility, so especially in underbanked regions. And our ongoing initiatives aim to showcase how Nano's instant, fee-free and transactions can solve actual payment problems in the real world. So a really, really exciting new service, and I will put it in the comments after I've spoken, but it's Nano GBT. So this is a brilliant demonstration of Nano's instant and feeless architecture, solving real-world payment problems. So it's a new platform that allows anyone to access premium AI models, so ChatGPT-4, Claude, on a pay-per-prompt basis without burdensome subscriptions or identity requirements. So you can deposit as little as zero point 0.1 nano and ask a question and ask a prompt, whether that's image or text. And this is something that is completely impossible with traditional payment methods that obviously have prohibitive minimum fees. So it's a really great showcase of Nano's potential, combining borderless instant value transfer with cutting edge technology that's generally useful. Another really exciting thing that's popped up on our ecosystem recently is Nano Stream Tips. So you can accept Nano and then send an alert, which will be displayed live on your Twitch or YouTube stream. So it's a great way for content creators to now start earning Nano through creating content online. And even the last month, we've had Nano Pay pop up. So you can accept Nano payments in your business, online and offline. So that includes a point of sale keypad, items list, secure PIN protected payout. We've got a new marketplace called Local Nano. So it really is incredibly exciting at the moment in our ecosystem. And those are just a few of the things that have popped up in the last month or so plus. It's an incredibly active time. I'll also be posting our social links within the chat too, to how best to join our community. It is a decentralized community for an open source protocol and open source thinking. So anyone and everyone can get involved. So even if you're not a developer, you can still get involved with being a bigger part of the community, whether that's sharing within your local communities, going to speak to your local businesses and shops and getting them to accept Nano, helping share tools that have been created, or indeed creating your own tools to help Nano payments flourish. So I'll be posting those links and our GitHub if you'd like to join within our comments also. But please do. It's an incredibly welcoming community. We are all passionate about making real, tangible change in the world when it comes to financial inclusion. And we always think that action speaks, louder than words. So it is all about jumping in and getting involved.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned so many products. I just said Nano.
Sorry.
Stream and I think Nano Pay. So I think it's awesome because I think a lot of the discussion also to move crypto forward is consumer apps, right? And
yes.
Elaborating on that means that you have products that are working and people are using them. I think that's really important for crypto adoption.
Yes, exactly.
So definitely, especially I think what jumps out to me as someone who's younger is your streaming tips, right? Because I think if you're someone on Twitch or you're streaming a game or something like that, then you can send and receive, Nano to your streamers and to the personalities. Because I think that's an important part probably of bridging maybe Web 2 with Web 3 is using crypto to pay and to tip, those entertainers. So yeah, exciting. And I'd love to also hear, maybe some of your input if you have your questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Segment where we talk more about DeFi and payments. So, I mean, just in time. So I'd also like to introduce another one of our guests for tonight. So, Sir Arthur, I'll bring you up here on stream and on stage. And I guess, Sir Arthur, welcome to Coinmunity Wednesdays. Maybe you can introduce yourself first for everyone here. So, Sir Arthur is from the Davao DeFi, decentralized finance community. So, first time for Sir Arthur to join us. Sir Arthur, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Hello, everyone. So thank you for so much for having me here for coins.ph as well. We have a great panel from Nano and of course Koyada. And I am actually from Davao DeFi community. I'm a co-founder, and we started the community last 2022. So we are actually going 3 years this coming July, and with that, we are working on creating initiatives for to contribute for the uh, good of the whole industry, especially that we are focusing now on the developers track for the Web3 space. So yeah, uh, again, thank you so much.
So, salamat, Sir Arthur. So, I guess for the next round, George, I'll get to your question in a quick second. But I guess I'd also like to hear from Kuya Dan. No? So, I guess let's move on to some of our panel discussion questions. So, I guess, Kuya Dan, I think the first question I have for you is this one. No? So, what do you think is the biggest barrier to people using crypto for those everyday payments?
I think it will really depends on the government rules and regulation and crypto adoption. So, so there's a big barrier, and also they have to know first what is crypto, and uh, they need to know what's the technology behind it, and so that they're gonna use it. So not a lot of people is know it yet, but if once they know that it's really easier to get, for example, not everyone in the Africa got a bank account, but it's easy to get, using a crypto as a you can hold a wallet and you can have an asset, cryptocurrency, and you can use it as a payment daily. Then the barrier will be a government. Government might ban or government might don't like it. So I think that's the reason why that's a big barrier.
Yeah, Kuya, thank you. I agree. I think cooperation and working with the governments is important because even if crypto is grassroots and decentralized, I think a big part of adoption is collaborating with the authorities and those who provide regulatory clarity and legislation also for crypto since we're dealing with money. So, Kuya, thank you. Maybe Sir Arthur, I guess for you, what do you think is the biggest barrier to people using crypto for the day-to-day payments?
I think one of the barriers that the industry is facing for, of course, for Filipinos is the education part, and I think they are not familiar with the Web3 jargons that and these are the things that we need to address. We need them to we need the normal people to understand uh, what are these jargons, these technical terms, for them to at least familiarize and in a deeper or in a basic or simple terms what they mean in the usual day-to-day lives of the Filipino people. Of course, payments. And also, one thing that I think is biggest barrier for people using crypto is the volatility. So imagine if you will be using, if you will be buying a coffee in Starbucks and then you will use crypto, it would be frustrating if the token that you will be using or the mode of payment that you will be using will be uh, say 100 pesos in the morning and then 110 in the afternoon. So that's one thing that I think is a barrier that allows that um, hinds people from using crypto. Yeah.
Awesome. So Kuya mentioned the government collaborating with them, and you also mentioned I think jargon, and of course volatility. I think these are big barriers for the end user because it makes it unapproachable for a lot of people who want to get into crypto to start using it and using it for the practical things such as payments. So so Arthur, thank you. And I guess how about you, George? Maybe in your end of the world and in other places that you've also had partnerships for Nano? What are the biggest barriers that you also see that you know I guess the crypto faces for adoption and payments?
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I was on mute. I just wanted to say on the volatility point that was just made. While I agree in the general terms with Nano, Nano is fully distributed, which is an amazing thing. So it really is down to supply and demand, and the more that Nano is adopted, the less volatility there will be within the price. And obviously, that's something that we are pushing for. However, I really think that the biggest barrier currently for using crypto with everyday payments is the complexity gap. So most everyday users simply shouldn't need to navigate seed phrases, wallet addresses, cryptographic concepts just to buy a cup of coffee or pay their bills. So unlike the traditional banking system that's had decades to develop user-friendly interfaces, cryptocurrency solutions often still feel like they're built by engineers for engineers and not for ordinary people going about their daily lives. So I do believe what we need to achieve for mainstream adoption is an experience where this revolutionary technology powering cryptocurrency payments becomes effectively invisible to users, where they simply experience the benefits of, especially in Nano's case, instant feeless transactions, but without needing to understand the technical architecture that makes that possible. And if we look at, utilizing your credit card, if you ask majority of people how that works, they wouldn't be able to actually tell you, yet they trust that it does. And that's really what we are trying to build, is the trust that the network performs as it should, which it does.
Awesome. Yeah, I think what stood out to me there is that crypto feels like it's built for engineers, right? And the complexity gap is something that I guess really avoids the adoption of it because some seed phrases and the whole technology is still very apparent on the front when it should be in the back, right? Under the hood, as people would say. So thank you, Kueda, Sir Arthur, and George for that. And I guess the second question for our next round robin would be this, right? So maybe as Sir Arthur mentioned, to jargon, right? So how can we improve user education without overwhelming people with jargon? So maybe a bit more of like a marketing and distribution kind of thing, right? So how can we teach paano natin may tuturo sa mga ibang tao ang crypto, no, without overwhelming them? So maybe Kuya Da, how would you see, the future of educating people about crypto?
For me, this topic is like straightforward. Just learn from the early stage, like at 3 years old, 4 years old. So we need to, if we're going to cooperate with the Board of Education, then we can learn crypto from the early stage, like a kids can, for example, when I was kid, I was told with my mother that fiat currency is there's a value, but for me it was just a paper, but they educate me that there's a value. So if we educate the youngsters with cryptocurrencies, there's a value, there's a technology in the early stage, then that will equalize with the crypto adoption. So naturally, they're gonna learn this technology, and naturally, we'll have a crypto adoption population. So yeah, that's my point of view. Board of Education, the government should cooperate with this sector, and that will be a huge difference. And also follow and subscribe and watch my channel.
Yeah, great education, yes, sir. All right, yes. So you did mention the board of education. So very, I guess, policy level kinds of um I guess education. No? So as you mentioned earlier, collaborate with the government, the board of education, and teaching children. Like because you mentioned the value of fiat, but to you it was just like paper. So ascribing value to that and making it, I guess, very apparent and simple, right? So I guess, Sir Arthur, how about you po? Like, how do you see yourself, improving user education about crypto and as the co-founder also of the Davao DeFi community?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we are not necessarily proud of, but what we are really focusing in the Davao DeFi community. The team is focusing on educating people about Web3 and onboarding people into Web3. So uh, we are actually doing some testings and initiatives on how we can maximize our efforts to reach a lot of people, normies, going into Web3. And I think for us, we are since we are the team is also only starting, we are focusing on people, quality people who would help us educate. So, like for example, first is for our members in the Davao DeFi community. We aim that our members will be inspired in um, helping us in educating people about Web3 using their social media. And I'd like to highlight one of our members also. Um, he is, she is, she created, well, um, this person is just working on create supporting the team in our events and initiatives. But this time, she created a page like Kadify, wherein she uses some photo videos, normal videos like the one you will be seeing in TikTok, and then um, he will be narrating she will be narrating some like what is Web3, what is DeFi through those videos, and it's actually inspiring since she from just a attendee to becoming a volunteer of the DeFi community, and now she is starting the this page of educating people, and that's what we aim in the DeFi community. Aside from that, from the initiatives with the government, we are partnering with the ICTs for education about Web3 developments, which of course if we are able to educate enough people about this Web3 development, they will be teaching also these those under their charge about the Web3 space. And lastly, we are partnering with different tech communities and schools. So we are training trainees about what Web3 is, blockchain and Web3 development. So I think that's the focus of the DeFi community to help improve with the education. I am not saying it's perfect uh, way to improve, but somehow that's what we see that might work for here in the local in Davao. So yeah, maybe that would also help in the Philippines and in the global space.
Awesome. Thank you, Sir Arthur. Yeah. I think many initiatives coming out from the Davao DeFi community. So thank you for all those efforts, no? Especially if what you mentioned earlier, yung page, no? I think that's important as someone who's doing videos and content, tama ba? To bring it to a wider audience. So thanks for that. And I guess, George, maybe for the last input for this question. So how do you think we can improve user education without overwhelming people? So I guess we have, a KOL here, a community leader, and I guess me as a community manager as well. How do you see us improving that user education for people?
Sure, I really believe, and I agree on the education aspect. Obviously, the key to effective education is starting in our world with real world problems and benefits rather than technical explanations. And I think when we communicate about Nano, what I try and focus on first are relatable pain points. So waiting days for a bank transfer to clear or paying substantial fees to send money internationally before explaining really how our solution resolves those issues. So we must somewhat create a layered educational resource that allows curious users to progressively explore deeper technical aspects at their own pace, but never force that complexity on those who simply just want to use the solution. I think the most successful education happens through hands-on experience, and I'm sure the Nano community are very bored of me saying this, but the proof really is in the pudding. The moment someone sends their first Nano, and I am trying my best to get a faucet into these comments so you guys can try it out for your own selves. But the moment someone sends their first Nano transaction, experiences this instant confirmation, they really understand the value proposition more deeply than any white paper could explain. And so that's really what I personally try and focus on. Obviously, we are a decentralized community, everyone has different aspects, but that would be my advice is really, compared to a lot of other cryptos, do they actually work? Most of them, in my view, don't, and actually fulfill this, these real world issues. Try Nano and down, jump on a faucet, nanodrop.io, and set up a wallet, and you will understand what Nano's proposition really is.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope everyone can try out, try it out, try it out. I think it's the best way to get started with something is to take your first step, right? And have fun with it. So, George, thank you for that. And I guess one last set question before we take some questions from the community. So, I like this one, to make you guys pick out, your imagination of it. So, maybe what's one use case, for crypto payments that hasn't been built yet but should exist today? So I think a lot of people, were oriented towards remittances. Cross-border payments is a big one also. But maybe let's start off again with Kuyada. So maybe for you, Kuyada, what is one use case for crypto payments, or maybe not even outside of payments, that hasn't been built yet but should exist? Kuyada, I think there's an issue with your audio. Maybe you pressed something there, Kuyada.
I think he's on mute.
Oh no. Can you try again, Kuyada?
I'm happy to jump in the meantime.
I guess we can come back to Kuyada. So George, maybe you can kick off this, this round of the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's one use case, and this is obviously very Nano focused as well, but that's definitely desperately needed today. Is a truly effective micropayment system for online content creators, and that bypasses the inefficient ad-supported model that we see dominating the internet. So imagine if you could frictionlessly support quality content with payments as small as a fraction of a penny per article read or video watched. Something completely impossible with traditional payment rails due to fixed transaction fees, but perfectly suited to Nano's feeless architecture. I do believe this would obviously enable a whole new economic model for creators beyond the extremes of paywalls and advertising, where readers could directly support quality journalism or creative work through millions of tiny transactions that collectively provide a sustainable revenue stream. And obviously, in Nano, that technology exists. What we are missing, but now we are seeing popping up on the ecosystem, which is really exciting, is the integration layer that makes this seamless enough for both creators and consumers. So as previously mentioned, the Nano Stream Tip is a new service where you can tip on YouTube and on Twitch. But we also have Sub Nano, which I'll try and get the link again in the comments, which is a brand new platform. So it's very similar to Substack or Medium, where you can unlock content instantly with Nano micropayments. And you can also get paid in Nano for your articles. So you can set your price per read, and the user can pay that to read your content. So it's a really new, exciting thing that we're seeing. But I think across the whole space, micropayments just have not been truly effectively utilized yet. And obviously that is the joy of crypto. It is worth mentioning that Nano has 30 decimal places, and so can be sent in minute amounts, which is something that makes us stand out from the rest of the space also.
Awesome. I think that's interesting. 30 decimal places. So very, if you're gonna get very precise of how much you want to send, you can do that. And as you mentioned, micropayments. I think it's very ripe also for disruption, because I enjoy watching streams myself. So I'm pretty interested to see how crypto and how Nano could disrupt something like that, especially where I guess maybe just to maybe add a little bit there, connecting with your creators is important, especially in Web3 and crypto. Community is a big part. So interesting to see how that would play out, for your creators or people you'd want to support. And I think you mentioned also like for articles, right? Like if you want
Sub Nano. Yeah. If you are a writer, get on there and put up your article and get paid per view, which I think is really exciting.
There you have it. Awesome. So supporting creators for crypto and Nano. And I guess maybe Sir Arthur, while waiting for Kuya to return, I guess for you, what's that one use case for crypto, if it's in payments, DeFi, or anything crypto, right, that hasn't been built yet, but sa tingin mo should be built already today?
Well, George already mentioned it. What's on my mind? It's actually the tipping platform. So it's well, of course, Filipino. We are known for our bayanihan culture, and maybe a tipping platform could really thrive in the Philippine DeFi space. Uh, like say for example, well, if usually are in the current setup that we have, uh, you can buy using grab food, and then you can put tips for the riders. And I think if that is integrated, like crypto is integrated into the this usual or traditional way of doing digital payments, then yeah, I think it could be a way for people, for us, or for the Web3 space to onboard a lot more people or regular people to join the this crypto industry. So yeah, that's one thing that I think could be a good addition to the uh,
Mhm.
platforms that we have right now.
Awesome. So Arthur, thank you. And Kuya Da, so welcome back. Siguro,
Sorry.
maybe just to get back to the question. So what's that one use case for crypto that you think should be built or should exist today?
Maybe Nano already built the solution, so George can tell more about that. But Um, maybe if there will be, for example, encouragement to the company, that company will pay stable coin as a salary, and we are going to receive our salary with a stable coin and using the apps and use it as a payment solution with a daily life. Maybe that will be a good, and the adoption will be fast. And if you have it in your app, you go anywhere, you go travel abroad, America, Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, you're using a stable coin, one currency. I don't want to mention which kind of stable coin because, but if you can use it, then maybe that's really good idea. You can borrow, lend, uh, time deposit kind of staking, then you can earn it. Then, yeah, but like what I said again, to encourage company, you need the government first. There's always a barrier with that. Yeah.
Awesome. Kuya Da, thank you. So I guess thank you also for all of your inputs for what's that use case that we think we should build, right? So I think so moving on, so let's pick out some questions from the community, and of course those who are chosen will receive so nano tokens straight to their coins wallet, so you can also interact with the different products and platforms that they have. So I think I'd like to choose some questions also from the community for George, so that she can answer on behalf of Nano as well. So I think the first one I'd like to choose out is this one. So JJ Shu, they ask, so what steps are being taken to make Nano mobile friendly for the unbanked or those relying primarily on smartphones? Because I think a lot of Filipinos as well are mobile first. So I think for a lot of the emerging developing markets even outside of the Philippines, maybe mobile is that key the integrating and financial inclusion for these people. So maybe George, you can speak to those steps to the mobile population approach.
Absolutely. And actually, to be honest, the Nano ecosystem really is mobile first as well. So there are so many wallets that are community made and wider, obviously, now with coins.ph as well, that are available on Android and iOS. Obviously, smartphone penetration is huge throughout the unbanked world as well. Nano really shines on peer-to-peer transactions. So obviously, we are on a coins.ph, wallet discussion here. However, if you have someone, just say in London, where I am now, and wanted to send to the Philippines, you both had a nano wallet such as Natrium, which you can download for free. Set that wallet up in a couple of very easy steps. You can then send Nano between one wallet to another for free in zero point 0.2, 0.3 seconds. So we really are mobile friendly. When it comes to Nano's ecosystem, there are a lot of mobile games, there are a lot of mobile apps, and our faucets are available on mobile, Nano GPT available on mobile. So mobile really is at the forefront, I would say, of our ecosystem generally. The dream was obviously we're all about accessibility of Nano. Obviously, the Nano Foundation mainly focuses on Nano itself. We are here to help other services within the community, but most of the activity and what's being built within the community is community made. It's by people like you guys who are watching here today, who are building apps, seeing real world problems, and building their own apps to address those utilizing Nano, and obviously mobile first as well.
Awesome. So JJ Shu, thank you for your question. And I think for maybe the rest of our panel, I'd like to ask you guys this question. So for Sir Arthur and Kuya, maybe you guys, as the local thought leaders here, can answer this question. And I think this would help inform also maybe George's perspective. So Chris Edgan, they ask, can integrating DeFi concepts or even crypto education into senior high school and college curricula help future-proof Filipino youth financially? So feel free to even shoot down or challenge the question, if crypto education, should it or should it not be included in traditional education? So maybe Kuya Da, I'd like to ask you first if your perspective on integrating DeFi and maybe even crypto into our traditional curriculums.
I think we should. I mean, it's not questionable, but if you are not gonna include it to the education, you will be not in the you will be very slow for the progress of learning this technology, because it's not a matter of only how to make a money with this sector, but it's a new technology, so it should be adapt we should be adapting it in the early stage. So yeah, youngsters should be really learning it from the yeah regular curriculum from the school, so that they'll be educated.
As you mentioned also, Kuya, earlier, diba, if you're very for education and that policy level kind of integration of education of crypto. So how about you, Sir Arthur? Integrating crypto and DeFi education into senior high school and traditional education.
Yeah, I think that can add value to the current senior high curriculum. Um, for Davao DeFi community, we are actually doing that already. We've been able to partner with senior high schools and initially discuss about the basics of blockchain. So just by that, the aim of that initiatives is for them before they go into college, at least they have a, a, a bit of an idea of what blockchain is or what Web3 is, and somehow they could consider that track into selecting their courses in the future. So maybe yeah, that's one thing that we are aiming. And actually, this initiative started when we attended an uh, an event, or somehow the Davao DeFi community were invited to be one of the mentors of a hackathon, wherein college students and senior high schools were participating on that event. And somehow senior high school students beat the college students. So I think with this one, actually we initially um, introduced to them the blockchain and Web3 industry. So maybe yes, if done right, integrating DeFi concept into senior high school will be a great factor for the Web3 onboarding and adoption.
All right. Thank you, Sir Arthur. And Chris Edgar, thank you also for your question. So another question I'd like to choose out that George wants to take on as well is this one. So am I correct this one? So oh no, sorry.
Tell
Not this
me.
one. Yeah, let me sorry, wrong one, but I think it's a very similar one. So I don't want to miscredit the person who asked it. I'll look for it. It's somewhere in the stream, but I'll copy paste it here for George. So the question goes here. So what are the biggest technical advantages of building with Nano? So speed or fila structure for Philippine use cases. So yeah, go ahead, George.
Sure. And just quickly on the last question, I work at universities in my day-to-day job, and I think it's integral that the youth of today and students of today do have understanding and knowledge of the future economic systems that we're hoping to be a part of. So yes, I totally agree that that's imperative moving forward. And actually, I give a lot of talks on blockchain to students in that realm. But with this question, so obviously Nano's biggest technical advantages for Philippine use cases include, I mean, it's multifaceted, but it's instant transaction finality, which is incredible, completely fee-less structure, minimal energy consumption, and the ability to handle offline transactions in low connectivity areas. The lightweight protocol that can run on a basic hardware. And that's really the crux here. So making it ideal, obviously, for microtransactions and small businesses, remittances, and daily commerce in both urban centers and remote regions where financial infrastructure is obviously limited. So as I said, it is multifaceted, and it's hard to pick just one out of all of those. There's quite a few, which is really exciting. That's what makes Nano so special.
Awesome. So I think I did see the person who asked it in the comments. So I'll just flash that a bit later for to give you a shout out. So thank you for asking that question as well. So I guess the next question that I do have for everyone here, I guess, would be probably this one. I like this one. It's a bit more on the crypto general side. So Eric Greerat, they ask if you could embed one core principle or value into the foundation of Philippine infrastructure, and maybe for George, the global or where you are from, like from the UK, I guess from London, like what would ensure the most equitable and empowering future? So one core principle or value, very deep question. Maybe Sir Arthur, if you'd like to go first. So isang prinsipyo or value dun sa foundation ng crypto dito.
Wala pa akong maisip right now. Let me think. Maybe Kuya Da can
Okay,
add,
Kuya
or
Dam,
someone.
you'd like to take a shot at this first.
Wait. This is a difficult question. Okay.
I can
George, please go ahead.
Very
George,
beauty
please go ahead.
pageant
George, please
level
go ahead.
question.
I can happily jump in because I think it's really important. Firstly, I mean, it's double pronged in a sense, but it's the accessibility. Now, accessibility is of paramount importance when it comes to equitable futures for everyone. Now, accessibility also means fees. If you are sending Bitcoin or Ethereum and you are paying gas fees, if you are paying, miners are paying fees, that is not accessible to everyone. That requires capital, that requires money behind that decision to use that technology. So I would absolutely say accessibility. Obviously, Nano has no network fees. There is no mining involved. And therefore, our goal with that design really was accessibility for all.
Awesome. Accessibility. I think for me, like just to share, I guess the one thing that comes to my head is fairness. I think definitely because I think a lot of Filipinos have poor experiences with crypto in the past. Maybe they entered into a project of tokenomics that are predatory or something that can take advantage of, as you mentioned, the complexity gap, or being misinformed with regards to how a project's price action will work, right, or how it will behave if they think about it as an investment. So I think being fair in terms of being transparent with the information that they put out is also important for something to be widely adopted, because it means that we'll have a good reputation, and as George mentioned, it will be accessible to a lot of fellow Filipinos. So maybe Kuya Da or Sir Arthur, if you'd also like to add to this.
Yeah. I think that the word is permissionless. So, well, at the current setup that we have, I've actually experienced having my funds put into central banks, central third parties banks, and like for example, I have, like for some in you have there is an emergency and you want to get your funds from a bank, and when you go to an automated machine, um, you are not able to access those funds because it's offline, or somehow for the whole duration, like in 30 minutes time, all banks or all ATM of that bank is actually closed. So that's one of the things that uh, uh, what you call this one, one of the problems that Filipino face at the current setup, and I think it's not only Filipinos, but in a global perspective, that's the problems that are happening using this central third parties, and permissionless will be permissionless platform will be a big help for the Philippine crypto infrastructures, since we don't need we have full custody of the access of the funds that we are putting in to these platforms. Say, for example, like, of course, in DeFi, you are putting your funds on certain platforms. Say you are staking it, but of course, you have full custody of it, despite that you have put it into the platform. You can decide whenever you want you to exit those funds. So yeah, permissionless. That's the core. I think that's also the core ethos of the uh, blockchain industry.
Permissionless. I think that's very important because it also enables access, as George mentioned. So maybe Kuya, you can take one last stab at this question. So if you thought of anything about that one core principle that you would have for Philippine crypto.
For me, there's no equal. So if you're going to adapt this in an early stage and you're gonna make some capital about it and do something about it, then you will be something or someone, some institute in this industry. But uh, thinking of giving a equalize things or equity here is, I don't know, for me it's not doable. And yeah, it's not a doable things. But what we should do right now as a Philippine market, we need to in an early stage and do action in this stage so that we can be someone something in this coming few years. If we are late in if you check the history, and if we are one of the late country for the economical things, then maybe this is a chance to rise faster. Maybe that's my opinion. There's no equal. Sorry.
Okay, interesting take with that. Thank you for that. And Eric Garat, thank you also for your input. For that. So I guess maybe I'd like to also ask George another question from the community that's probably more, about the future of Nano and the vision that you have for it. So I guess I'd like to take this question, which is probably a lot more forward looking. So maybe this one. This is a bit of a loaded one. So, what's the long term vision that you have for Nano over the next 5 to 10 years? And you guys have been building for a long time. So, are there any plans for wider merchant adoption, layer two solutions, or integrations with mainstream fintech platforms? And in crypto, 5 to 10 years is a long time. So, maybe you can share more about what plans do you have for the next 5 to 10 years, or decade from now, even in 2035.
Absolutely. I mean, it's 2035 is a terrifying year to think about, in all honesty. So Nano was first developed in 2014. So we have been around for a very long time. Obviously, it takes a long time to try and create the most efficient form of global money transfer in the world. And that's obviously what we are doing. Moving forward and looking forward, our real goal is, as I mentioned earlier, accessibility. So it is getting more people to understand the benefits of using Nano, to be able to send money around the world for free in zero point 0.3 seconds, which is incredible, while also not burning the planet. To put that into comparison, one Nano transaction is 17 million times less energy consumptive than a Bitcoin transaction, which is something that we are very proud of. But moving forward, on the development side, we are focusing purely on efficiency, trying to get even more efficient than 0.3 seconds with higher spam prevention and easier integration methods. When it comes to, obviously, we are a decentralized community. So Nano's vision is not just the Nano Foundation's vision anymore. It is the full Nano community's vision. And that really is to become a choice of being a global currency that is utilized all around the world, that benefits those people in the world that need it most. So our vision when it comes to the next 5 to 10 years is absolutely more wider merchant adoption. Right now we have spent a lot of time working with street vendors in Nigeria, and we're hoping to do so in the Philippines as well, in accepting Nano, creating closed loop economies where someone can earn Nano in this area and then go and sell items for Nano in another area and keep that small economy going that will slowly grow in various countries and various rural areas especially. When it comes to integrations with mainstream fintech platforms, the beauty of Nano is, yes, it is a coin, but it is also a network. It's a back-end network. So absolutely mainstream fintech platforms could indeed adopt Nano in their back end, whether we're looking at the global FX community, FX platforms or remittance platforms. Our real competitors aren't so much the crypto space. Where we see our competitors are the Western Unions of this world, the MoneyGrams that are charging extortionate fees especially for migrant workers, on those who are on the lower socioeconomic spectrum, to be able to send money around the world while charging huge fees. And we just don't believe that is right. So that's who we really see our competitors in being. Obviously, Nano can be utilized peer-to-peer, as I said earlier, from wallet to wallet, mobile phone to mobile phone, but also through partners such as coins.ph and various others who actually directly work with the merchants as well. So it's currently we're in a chicken and egg situation where do you focus on the merchants or do you focus on the users? And we are trying to do both at the same time, which is obviously incredibly tricky. But it really is about getting the maximum amount of people seeing the benefits and actually utilizing Nano because it benefits them. And that really is what the technology is about. So yes, I will continue being around, and I'm sure Colin will as well. But obviously we are volunteers and we give up our time to do something that we truly believe in, as the rest of our team does, as the rest of our community does. So really it is about getting more users to see the benefit and utilize Nano, more merchants that can cut out credit card fees and infrastructure fees in accepting Nano and creating those closed loop economies.
Awesome. So Jeff, Jomara, thank you for that question. I hope it tackles the long-term vision of Nano. And yeah, I guess to close the program out. So thank you everyone for making time for the discussion for this evening. Yeah, I do really enjoy talking about DeFi payments because I think this is where crypto is really going to be headed in the future. So maybe a round of closing messages from everyone here. So maybe starting with Sir Arthur from the Davao DeFi community, maybe a closing message for the Coinmunity who tuned in tonight. So shout out to everyone from the Nano community, Davao DeFi community, from Kuya Das community as well. We had around 460 people tune in tonight. So thank you for joining us for tonight's discussion. So Sir Arthur, yes, maybe a closing message for everyone.
Yeah, so let's just continue learning about the blockchain industry and the Web3 space. This industry has been uh, bringing advantage to the marginalized people, and I hope we take that as a inspiration for us to build on top of the blockchain technology. And yeah, let's change the world one block at a time.
I love that. Thank you, Sir Arthur. And Kuya, maybe a closing message. Thank you also for joining us for this evening, Kuya. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kuya. Thank you. All right, and maybe George, just uh, share like a last message for everyone here tonight.
I haven't been able to post in the comment section the links that I was hoping to, but go on nano.org, nano.org. You will find answers to a lot of questions that were posed in the live chat here about how we have feeless transactions, or why is Nano so green in the FAQ section. You can also access our hub, which is hub.nano.org. It's linked through our website, and you can see everything in our ecosystem there, download wallets, see where Nano's traded, find out what games utilize Nano. And then lastly, faucets. You can access faucets on the nano.org website. And please go and set up a wallet and try Nano out. It is free. Go and try it out. There's nothing stopping you.
All right. Thank you so much, George, for joining us as well. So, our friend Kuyada, it's been a pleasure. I'm Jaffa, Community Manager for coins.ph, and thank you for tuning to Coinmunity Wednesday. We'll be back again for another episode of Coinmunity Wednesdays. So, have a great evening, and thank you all for tuning in. Have a good evening, and bye-bye.
Guys.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Bye bye.